Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
A very warm welcome to Spectrum on Radio 1. My name is Edmond, your host. Good evening. Tonight on Spectrum, 2 days to the polls. What are the chances of the contenders after a hectic campaign process? And what are the political parties doing to ensure a free and fair process? 2 days from polling day, and all political parties are stepping up efforts to try and capture more support before close of campaigns tomorrow. After 3 months of a hectic campaign, the attention is now shifting to the voting day itself, as well as the 48 hours after voting, during which the results must be declared. Internally, political parties are making final preparations to try and protect their votes, including putting in place vigilante groups. The police has warned those behind these groups not deploy them on grounds that police has enough capacity to ensure law and order with support from the army when required. Foreign observers have also taken their positions, pushing the stakeholders to commit to a peaceful, free and fair process, adding that a democratic process is not only vital for the country today, but also for the future. So tonight we focus on the final lap in the 2011 election race to gauge the chance of political parties at both the presidential and the parliamentary race. Our guests tonight, Mr. Kenneth Kakande, Deputy Spokesman of the Democratic Party. You're most welcome, Mr. Kakande.
Good evening, listeners.
We also have Mr. Sadam Gayira, Spokesman for the People's Progressive Party of Honorable Bidanisal. You're most welcome, Mr. Gayira.
Good evening, listeners, and I thank you for the invitation.
We had invited someone from the NRM to balance this show off, but, well, they turned down this invitation at the last minute, so I have to do with two officials from the opposition, if you like. Mr. Kakande, what does the campaign look like overall?
It has been a fairly peaceful campaign. There haven't been a lot of incidents, and I've said a lot, though there have been isolated incidents. We had fear at the beginning that this campaign was going to be a very violent one because the government in power has lost a lot of popularity, and we thought it was going to use too much violence. There have been isolated incidents. For example, some of our people, especially those who were dealing with our finances, were thrown in Luzira prison on charges of terrorism, such things. Other supporters were charged with treason. There are those cases, but they are not very rampant as they were in 2006. I should say that I admit there has been some improvement in the way these campaigns have been conducted, some improvement. But however, the most important thing is the whole process, and finally where it's going to lead us, and whether it is going to be a reflection of the will of the people of Uganda. That's where the problem is. I should say that as we moved towards election day, we discovered more and more things about the Electoral Commission. And we became even more convinced that this Electoral Commission is an extension of the NRM party. There is no way it can conduct a free and fair election. However, I should add hastily that we are not quitters as a party. We are fighters. We are going in there to fight, expose them, and win. And win we will. Because we have got a number of ways we have learned how to stop the rigging machine of the NRM party, and we are going to do that with our energies and efficiency. Secondly, I believe that as stakeholders in the country, we are all stakeholders, DP, UPC, NRM, and other parties, and other civil institutions, and even the ordinary person. A free and fair process will be to the benefit of all. That's why I say that it is very, very important, especially to the Electoral Commission, not only the Electoral Commission, and the NRM party. The ball is in their hands. whether we have a free and fair election. And if we don't, it will be a direct provocation to the people of Uganda. If we don't have a free and fair process, it will be a direct provocation to the people of Uganda, and I cannot predict their reaction.
Who's going to be president?
Norbert Mao.
Oh.
But there may be a run, but Norbert Mao has to be on the candidate on the ballot paper.
You think he's going to be president after a runoff?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Gayira, you come from the PPP of Mr. Bidandi Sali, a former minister, long-serving minister in President Museveni's government. What has the campaign been like for you?
I'll share with him the fact that the whole campaign generally has been peaceful. But for me, I will say that it has been peaceful on the surface, because we talk about violence, but there are many other means that the government has employed to make sure that these elections are rigged, and the Electoral Commission has done nothing to control and to bring the government to account for what it has done. If you look at the money that is, being dished out throughout the country amongst voters, and at no one time the Electoral Commission has come out to investigate, to take action against all of those people who have been involved in, in dishing out the money. When you look at, a direct bribery that has been done, to the members of parliament, the 20 million shillings that has been given to members of parliament. If you look at the intimidation which has been inflicted the people in the countryside, wherever you go, right? You cannot think that we are going to have a free and fair elections. Nevertheless, we entered this exercise knowing very, very well that the Electoral Commission is in favor of the ruling government, and we are very, very prepared, as he said, right? You remember very well that People's Progressive Party was formed in 2003, but in 2006 we did not participate in the general elections because we wanted to set up structures throughout the country in order to be able to fight all these problems, right? So by the time we decided to participate as a party, we are, at least assured that in most parts of the country we have already put up some structures which can be, in position to encounter all these problems. So generally, as he said, the process has been fairly peaceful on the surface. That is, to me,
from your party's side.
Yes, from my party's side, yes. Right. But also, my personal analysis, yes, is that the elections has been peaceful because of the two candidates who have decided to rebrand themselves.
Which are these two candidates?
President Museveni has rebranded himself.
Yes.
And Dr. Kizito Besigye has rebranded himself.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We'll go into the details on that maybe later.
Okay.
But you can give us a snippet of that. What do you mean? How they rebranded themselves? They still look the same?
No.
5 years ago?
You remember the language and the approach to politics, to campaigns, was different in 2001 and 2006.
How different?
Don't touch my army, don't do this, don't do that, I will do this, you will not do this. That is not the approach.
What is the approach now?
The approach now seems to be peaceful. So they might have been advised to rebrand themselves.
So the two big contenders, according to the opinion polls, are setting the tone for this election.
That is to you.
Okay.
That is to you, because to me they are not the big contenders.
All right. Let me ask you, who's going to be president by this time next June?
I'll add also another question.
Yes. No, you can't ask me questions tonight.
No. And I will answer it.
Maybe another time.
I will answer it.
Tonight
I will answer
questions,
it.
Yes.
I will answer who would be the president.
My question is, who will be president?
Who will be president? That is Bidan Desali. And who will be president? Bidan Desali.
Well, if we're going into semantics, we might not be able to go into those. Let's come back to you, Mr. Kakande.
Yes,
who do you think is going to have most parliamentarians in the next parliament?
It's very difficult to tell now, because there's a lot of confusion now, especially in the parliamentary elections. And we have another big party, the Independents.
Yes.
Yes, it's another big party. But I believe that the next parliament is going to be too divided. That is from the campaigning point of view. Because in Uganda, there is an irony. You may see someone during campaigns very strong, but when it comes to results, you see different results. That's what we've been talking about, the rigging.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that you may be popular within the people.
Yes.
And the people may even go ahead and give you the vote.